Hello, friends. Welcome to Studio Classroom on the Air. I'm Anne-Marie, and I think today is a great day to learn something new. And it looks like Gabe is doing something new over there.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer...
Whoa. Why are you quoting Hamlet today?
It's one of Shakespeare's greatest plays, Anne-Marie. To suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
Right. But why are you performing it now?
Well, because Shakespeare is what we're talking about today in an article called Shakespeare Week.
Whoa, wait a minute. Shakespeare Week? What is a Shakespeare Week?
We're going to learn about that in our article. We'll talk about Shakespeare's influence on the language, as well as one organization and what they are doing to help primary school students learn about the great playwright.
Are you ready, friends? Take out your magazines and let's begin.
Or take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them.
Shakespeare Week. Teaching children to appreciate a great writer. William Shakespeare's plays are among the best-loved classics in the English language. They contain humor, suspense, and deep emotion, sometimes all in a single play. Many of Shakespeare's plays are based, sometimes loosely, on historical events or legends. The thing that makes his plays stand out, though, is their language. Shakespeare had a way of expressing a variety of feelings and ideas in deeply moving words. In fact, many common phrases and idioms originated with him.
Hi everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 今天要看的第一个字是名词 suspense， 意思是悬念、悬疑。To keep someone in suspense 是使处于悬念之中，也就是使人担心、焦虑的意思。就像呢是在侦探小说里保持悬疑，直到最后才知道真相。举例来说 ，Nancy kept her family in suspense for a week before telling them she was moving to Europe. Nancy 让家人担心了1个星期后，才告诉他们她要搬到欧洲去。或者 The competitors were kept in suspense for over an hour before the winners were announced. 竞争者焦虑了1小时后，才听到大会宣布谁是赢家。The suspense in some movies is too much for Faith, so she leaves the room. 有些影片中的悬疑情节对 Faith 来说太紧张了，所以她就离开房间。接下来看动词 originate， 意思是起源、发源、来自。后面的介系词可以是 with, in, of 或 from。来看 originate 的几个例句。The board game we know as Monopoly originated in the early 20th century and was called the Landlord's Game. 大富翁这个桌游呢，起源于20世纪初，原来叫做地主的游戏。或者 Where did the idea that people should pay taxes on the property they own originate? 人民要为自己拥有的土地付税金的这个想法是出自哪里呢？再来一句 The killer tsunami that devastated countries in Southern Asia in 2004 originated off the coast of Indonesia. 2004年重创南亚各国的那波杀手海啸是从印尼的外海开始的。All right, let's get back to our teachers.
Okay, thank you, Jack. And friends, are you ready to start talking about Shakespeare today? Before we get into our text, I have a question I want to ask Gabe.
Yes, Anne-Marie, ask away.
Why are you carrying around a worm puppet?
That's a good question. Well, earlier I was sharing some lines from Hamlet.
Right.
Yes, And I could not find a skull. There are some versions of Hamlet where during that monologue, Hamlet walks around with a skull. To be or not to be, that is the question.
So wait, you replaced the skull with a worm.
Well, his name is Willie.
Willie?
After William Shakespeare. Yes. And also, Anne-Marie, here's another reason. We are teaching children to appreciate a great writer. Worms are definitely more appropriate than skulls.
More appropriate than skulls. Well, let's read the first sentence of our article here. It says that William Shakespeare's plays are among the best-loved classics in the English language. That is very true, isn't it? But do you have a favorite Shakespeare play, friends? How about you, Gabe? Do you have a favorite Shakespeare play?
You know, I read many Shakespeare plays. I acted in one, Romeo and Juliet. I have the most memories of that play. I know it the best because I acted in it. I played, that was during college, my freshman year, and I played Romeo's cousin Benvolio. I remember my first line was, "Part, fools, put up your swords." I was trying to stop a sword fight from happening. So, to answer your question, Romeo and Juliet is my favorite Shakespearean play.
Oh, okay. Well, good to know. And how about you, friends? Do you have a favorite? Well, we are learning about how one organization is helping kids to be interested in Shakespeare, but let's learn a little bit more about Shakespeare plays. We read here in a sentence, many of Shakespeare's plays are based, sometimes loosely, on historical events or legends. And we want to talk about that phrase for a minute, to be based on or loosely based on something.
Okay, so if a story is based on something else, like historical events, that means they use facts or ideas of those historical events to develop the story. So that's not going to be perfectly just like the historical events, but they'll use some facts and ideas from those events.
It's a little bit different than just acting out the historical event, right?
Exactly. So it's based on those events. And if something is loosely based on something else, that means there are really a lot of details that have been changed, maybe only one or two main ideas from the real events.
Speaking of being loosely based on, friends, did you know many modern movies have actually been loosely based on Shakespeare plays?
Well, yeah, that's true. I can think of, there's a movie several years that came out, 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, actually, that was loosely based on
The Taming of the Shrew, right?
The Taming of the Shrew. Now, can you say that title again of the movie?
10 Things I Hate About You.
Now, if I were just to look at your lips, it would look like you're saying The Taming of the Shrew.
Oh, that's true.
Exactly.
How interesting is that?
I think they did that on purpose.
Did you know The Lion King was also based on a Shakespeare play?
Hamlet, yes. There are several stories in movie history and books that kind of take the ideas of Hamlet. Lion King is one of them. Have you ever seen The West Side Story?
Yeah, I have.
Because that's loosely based off of Romeo and Juliet.
It's very interesting. Well, we have one more sentence we want to look at here, friends. If you go down a little bit, Shakespeare had a way of expressing a variety of feelings and ideas in deeply moving words. Let's talk about the idea of deeply moving words for a moment here.
If something is deeply moving, it causes intense emotions. It could be joy or sadness.
Well, that sounds very extreme. Well, while Gabe composes himself over there, let's go to our info cloud and learn some more about some Shakespeare phrases.
Welcome to InfoCloud, friends.
Rex, we need to get started. We can't wait any longer. We have some important things to share today. Why are you taking so long? We need to begin.
Okay, Andrea, I know. Why are you acting so, crazy?
Crazy? Well, dear Rex, there is a method to my madness.
There is a method to your madness. Andrea, what does that mean?
Well, Well, I'm glad you asked. It means there is a purpose in doing something crazy, even if it does seem crazy.
Oh, I see. So if someone is acting strange or odd, there is a reason behind it, just like you were acting strange to share this topic.
Yes, exactly. You can say, Kevin keeps talking to himself loudly, but he insists that there is a method to his madness.
Or, right now we are living in interesting times, but they will end. There must be a method to this madness.
Now, this is a phrase that actually comes from a Shakespearean play and is still used in English today. See if you can think of your own example to use this phrase.
当我们在做一件别人不太明白的事情，像是你正在创业，但是别人看不出来你在干什么，这个时候你就可以说 There is a method to my madness. 这句用语相当特别，原本是出自于莎翁名剧《哈姆雷特》，意思就是我这看似疯狂的行为，其实内含玄机，我有一些特别的用意在里面，我是故意这么做的。例如 Kevin was loud, but he said there is a method to his madness. Kevin 说话很大声，但是他说他这是有用意的。这个用语也可以客观的使用，像是如果我们遇到了疫情、这个经济萧条等等非常时期，你也可以乐观的表示 There must be a method to this madness. 这样的经历是有用意的，或许它是一种磨练，最后会带出好的结果。这就是今天的 Info Cloud， 我们下次云端见。
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Welcome back to Studio Classroom, friends. What do you think of Shakespeare Week, Gabe? Does it sound like fun?
I'm not sure yet. Maybe I could answer that better if I knew a little more about it.
Well, lucky for you, that's exactly what we're going to talk about in the next part of our lesson. Let's find out what Shakespeare Week is all about.
Shakespeare Week. The Shakespeare Birthplace Trust, a charity that cares for historical sites related to Shakespeare's life, provides educational resources about this influential playwright. This week, the organization is sponsoring a celebration called Shakespeare Week. Events are aimed at primary school students, many of whom will be encountering his works for the first time. Children around the world study Shakespeare and his works in school, yet their experience is often oriented toward preparing for exams. For many modern English speakers, Shakespeare's 16th century writing can be difficult and frustrating. The purpose of Shakespeare Week is to give children a more positive experience with Shakespeare, starting at a young age. They do this using books, videos, and activities that stimulate the children's creativity.
“我们再来看 sponsor 这个字。sponsor 在文章里当动词，意思是主办、发起或是赞助。譬如 Corporations usually sponsor community festivals in order to make themselves more visible to the public. 大公司通常会赞助社区的节庆活动，为了更曝光给社会大众。或者 Have we found any companies to sponsor the food fair this year? 我们找到任何公司来赞助今年的美食特展了吗？ Sponsor 也可以做名词，指资助公益活动的人或是厂商。譬如World Vision always works with sponsors to help children in need. 世界展望会一向和资助者合作，来帮助有需要的孩子。 接着来看 orient 这个动词，意思是使朝向。Be oriented toward something 的意思是以什么为导向。譬如 My health insurance company is oriented toward disease prevention, so it covers yearly health exams. 我的健康保险公司以疾病预防为导向，所以每年都会给付健康检查。或者 This writing class is oriented toward academic writing, not fiction. 这个写作课程偏向学术写作，不是小说创作。另外一个用法是 to orient oneself， 意思是确认方位或是调整。譬如说 Susan looked for the position of the sun as she tried to orient herself before she resumed her hike. Susan 先找太阳的位置，好确认方位，再继续践行。Okay, let's get back to our teachers.
Okay, friends, let's get right into reading. The Shakespeare Birthplace Trust, a charity that cares for historical sites related to Shakespeare's life, provides educational resources about this influential playwright. Let's talk about that word resources for a minute.
Yes, let's talk about resources. I have a handy resource right here. It's my clipboard. I use it to teach English.
Very useful.
Exactly. It's very helpful, right, and useful. That's the idea behind a resource. It's something that can be used to help you in some way.
That's right. I like to think of a resource as something that helps you get a job done. There's educational resources, there's natural resources. You know, a good resource for learning English is YouTube. And we have some resources on YouTube as well, don't we?
That's right. That makes me think of our 好想讲英文 videos. There's one coming out every week. I believe it's Wednesdays. There's a new 好想 video each week. But speaking of educational resources, our lesson mentions that. That makes me think of books. Books,
oh, true.
Magazines, journals, things like that can educate somebody.
That's right. Let's read on here. This week, the organization is sponsoring a celebration called Shakespeare Week. Events are aimed at primary school students, many of whom will be encountering his works for the first time.
Now, you might be confused, friends. Earlier, we were talking about Shakespeare's plays. The plays stand out, and now we see works. Well, his plays are some of his works. Someone's works are the things that they have created, especially an author or something in literature.
What do you have there?
I have here 2 sonnets.
Oh.
A sonnet is a kind of poem, and William Shakespeare wrote many sonnets. They are some of his works. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. That was sonnet 18. Shall I continue, Anne-Marie, or do we have no time?
Sure, absolutely.
My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red.
Oh.
That's sonnet 130. I could go on, but I don't think we have enough time. Friends, you should check out some of William Shakespeare's sonnets.
All right, well, let's drop down to the bottom of our article for today here. It says the purpose of Shakespeare Week is to give children a more positive experience with Shakespeare starting at a young age. They do this using books, videos, and activities that stimulate the children's creativity.
Oh man, this guy looks really bored. He needs some stimulation, right? If something stimulates you, that means it causes you to be excited or interested in something.
You could stimulate creativity, you could stimulate growth, or stimulate learning.
Well, right now it is time to see a skit. We hope that you find it stimulating.
Oh, this book is unbelievable. It's full of suspense. I can't wait to see how it ends.
Suspense is great. Wondering what happens next is so exciting.
That's for sure. And this book is full of suspense. I want to know how it ends right now.
Too bad you have to finish the book first.
But I can't wait. The suspense is too great. Oh, I have to find out how it ends. I want to know right now.
But how will you find out?
I'm going to read the last page.
You can't do that. It will ruin the story.
But I have to know. The suspense is killing me. I need to know how the story ends.
Well?
I'm going to turn to the last page right now and read the ending.
What? Now I'm in suspense. Quick, tell me how it ends.
I don't know yet.
Then why are you screaming?
Because the last page is missing.
Okay, friends, we're wrapping up the first day of our lesson called Shakespeare Week. Shakespeare certainly was an influential writer, wasn't he?
Yeah, he really was. So many people from history are still actively influencing our lives today, actually.
Well, speaking of influencing our lives today, who from history has influenced you? Was there anyone from history, like an artist or a writer or musician, that you two really connect with? Maybe someone who has influenced who you are or how you think? What do you think, Jack?
Well, as a Chinese, I would say 孔子, but
All right.
but I think the person who influenced me the most will be Tchaikovsky, 柴可夫斯基. Yeah,
The composer.
the composer from Russia. 他的音乐风格是 romantic, 所以很浪漫，是浪漫风派。
So it's made you a romantic person? Okay.
Very romantic person. Yeah,
But he has influenced your music style maybe more than other classical composers?
that's right.
Oh, right
yeah,
on.
Yeah, he likes to add 民族风格的音乐在他的 composition 里面，所以我很喜欢那一种特色。然后我会模仿他的 orchestration 的方法。
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Awesome. Well, Jack, if you have heard his music before with some of the music segments we've had here at Studio Classroom. For me, I would say someone from history. I mean, my all-time role model is Jesus Christ. But let's choose somebody else to talk about here. Also Russian, an author, Fyodor Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky is an incredible author. He's written many books. And one of the reasons why I like him is because he seems to really understand human nature a lot. And the way that he writes his characters and has his characters develop over time. And he gets real with the reader and he, just tackles a lot of different kinds of issues. So he's an inspirational or influential person on the way that I think and, the reason why I like to read sometimes. What about you, Anne-Marie?
Oh, I can't really say that there's one specific person that has influenced me. I think most people who influence me are people that I've directly interacted with.
Okay.
Not necessarily people from history. So I don't really have a good answer for that.
Well, you could say that Jack and I have some friends who are dead. You don't have to...
I guess you could say
We do?
Yeah, right, Tchaikovsky and Dostoevsky. Yeah, they're like our friends, even though they're not here anymore.
Well, friends, who from history has influenced you? Think about how you would answer that question in English. And we will see you next time right here on
Studio Classroom.